Say hello, Freya. Your first time on camera. Hello, and welcome back to Sproutlogic Gardening. My name's Mike. Today we continue our series on unveiling the plans for 2026. And I have two things I'm really excited to show you. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So 2026, it's currently February right now. It's winter. So in theory, pretty cold to be planting anything out. But if you saw my last video, I had one plant that's already out here, which is heather, which enjoys this type of weather. These two plants also enjoy the cooler temperatures and are totally fine to go out. So these plants also have a purpose, both of them individually. And that's something we'll discuss as we kind of dive in more into the individual plants themselves. But the idea is to pick out plants that fill needs or wants in your garden. So, for example, maybe providing structure or giving you early color. These are important things to consider when moving into plants like this and thinking about planting out, which is exactly why I chose them. So, the first plant we're going to dive into, Viola. Specifically, the variety is a penny winter mix. And I have a couple color varieties of the same plant that I'm going to be putting out here. My goal for this is to provide a burst of color and probably some pollen for some early pollinators that are out and about during this time. Now, right now, it's about 70 degrees, so while I say it's winter, it's pretty darn warm. Arguably, if it gets any warmer, it might be a little too warm for these guys. But it's something important to call out. Violas are pretty simple to take care of. So they require basically the soil to be damp, not soaked. You want to make sure also they get full sun, that's important. And these are an annual, so they will bloom all the way up until probably late spring, early summer. It depends on how hot it gets in your area. I'm in zone 7B/8A. Probably by late spring, these guys are going to get burnt out and be done. That's acceptable. That's fine. That's what you expect out of these plants. And with that full sun, when things get more intense, it's obviously going to affect them and cause some problems, and we have to be ready for that. So that's plant number one. A pop of color early in the season. Really important, right? Now, plant number two is actually a yellow jasmine. So this plant is all about structure and providing a pop of color. So this will grow. It's a vine. So you typically want to put it up against a trellis or something like that to give it something to grow off of and support. And this will flower starting probably late winter, early spring. Provides a beautiful burst of yellow flowers. So it really gives you that pop during a season that typically might not be so much action going on. And yeah, again, its purpose mainly is going to be that structure and color, right? So I'm getting two separate things from these plants. Now, I will say that both of these don't mind the cold at all. In fact, they arguably prefer it. The jasmine's okay, it's perennial. It'll continue into next year, of course, as long as you take care of it properly. Don't expect any action during, summer, fall. It's simply not going to be showing any color. It only flowers once, and that's during like I said, late winter, early spring. Other than that, you're not going to see much action from it. But it still will provide the beautiful leaves color that it'll typically do. It's evergreen, but I will say that I've seen during the winter time, you'll notice this kind of reddish color that does sometimes come out during the winter time, which is a nice pop of color without any flowers as well. Next, let's talk pruning. Now, these both have very, very different requirements, and I'll go ahead and pop it up on the screen and kind of show you a comparison there. Violas, very simple. Deadhead, and maybe about three-fourths of the way through the season, you cut it back about a third to reinvigorate it for maybe a final bloom. That's about it. This will flower, like I said, probably until about maybe late spring, depending on how hot it is where you're at, and then it'll die off. That's totally normal, and that's what's going to happen with it. Jasmine's a different story entirely. You only prune it once, and that's after flowering. Now, if flowers on old wood, this is important to note. If you prune wrong, you're not getting flowers next year. And pruning, be careful. You're not going heavy. We're not cutting it back by a half, a third. We're looking for stringy growth like this. We want to cut that back, and we're maybe looking to open it up a bit to get some fresh air going through it. We do not want to go cutting this thing in half because forget about it. You're ruining what's happening there. One note with this plant, it is toxic. If ingested, it has a neurotoxin that's extremely deadly. I'm bringing this up because if you have kids, pets, got to be careful with this plant. I would go one step further. When I prune it, I will use gloves because the problem is if you're touching this thing and you're getting the sap on your fingers, it only works when it's ingested. However, if you're touching your mouth or your eyes without washing your hands, there's a risk there, I think, that you could possibly get hurt. So I'd recommend wearing gloves and pruning it as well. And when you toss out the clippings, put it someplace safe. Don't just leave it out and about in the yard. Not great. One other thing I'll mention about this, and I can't confirm if it's true, maybe you can drop something in the comments if you have some evidence on this. The pollen is toxic to bees. Can't really find something that 100% says that's true. However, I think it's important to mention and note. So just wanted to bring that up kind of ahead of time. So these are the two that are going to be going out. I'll save you the way I'm going to plant them, and I'll give you a little spoiler. These are going into a bed. This is going into a pot. I'm going to start it off in a kind of a double the size it's in now. If you do plant this in a pot, very important, you're going to have to keep sizing up. So the pot I'm putting into it now is probably going to be like a maybe 7 gallon. As it gets bigger, I'm probably gonna need to bump it into something else. But that's just a choice I made so I can keep it mobile in case I don't like the spot I'm placing it, which is to grow basically right over here on the corner and spread out across the patio here. But I hope this video helps. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, you want to learn more about these plants, and let me know if you enjoy these types of videos. And of course, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm a new channel. I could use all the help I can get. We'll see you on the next video. Take it easy.